Alright guys, so this is a video on a swing arm installation as it's currently being built. For the most part it's the same as the original, but there are a couple of small changes that I want to address. Now I can't show it being installed on my ramp because I actually shipped my ramp to a guy that needed a 60-inch and ordered a 48-inch, and rather than there being any issues, I sent him mine, and I'm just going to build myself another one later. So in the interim, I have this template thing that I kind of made to mount to my welding table, and this should serve as, you know, a way for me to do a video without actually having a ramp in my possession at this time. So the first thing is, most of the ramps have been designed and built using a template. So this mounting bolts that mount the dovetail ends to the dovetail itself are all in the same location. And any ramp that was built after like June of 2018. So with that being the case, the first thing you need to do is you need to take a tape measure and measure 2.5 inches in and mark a line. And once you do that, you'll take a bracket, this bracket here, and slap it on there and just adjust it until you can see your line there. So the idea is to have this 2.5 inches in from the edge. Now this is just a preliminary measurement. The purpose is to try to make sure that the bracket itself is straight up and down. So you'll take the mounting bracket arm itself, and instead of having a hole drilled here on like I did on the old ones, I just made a slot. So you just loosen up this nut down here and slide that in there. And you take the same 3/8 bolt and just thread it in there. And just get it finger tight just so that it's sitting at the right height. And then you'll take some clamps like I showed. I think I may have showed it in the last video. But just get these clamped so that they're pulled tight against the dovetail end itself. And you can use any kind of clamps. I'm just grabbing these because these are the ones that are right there. Just get it pulled against the dovetail, and then just kind of eyeball the gap between this rail here and this, and just try to make sure that it's even at the top here as it is down here. Now on this one it is because I've done all the measurements, but you'll need to make sure that once you do that measurement and install this bracket, that this is straight up and down. If it's not, you'll have to adjust it here, just slide it one way or the other to get it even. And then once you have it clamped and everything is right, I would crank down the bottom bolt first. And then the top one here. And then you can remove the clamps. So basically, like I said, the idea is to make sure that this is straight up and down. Once you're happy with the gap here to here, and like I said, you're kind of trying to get an idea of the distance from this rail to this rail, and you want it to be even from here down to there, as close as you can to even. Once you get that there, you'll want to mark and drill a hole here, and there'll be a supplied bolt and washer and nut that goes in here to prevent this from sliding forward or backwards as there's pressure on the arm. I've also installed these little triangular pieces here, which are trying to serve in a way where when the ramp opens, it doesn't cock sideways. And it seems to be a good solution for that issue. So if when we have those ears there, and then a bolt in here, that eliminates all of the issues that were in the original install video that I explained. So far, the bracket is installed, and I'll move on to the next part, which is basically the arm itself. And obviously, as the old video shows, you just put the arm in place and put your bolts in. And these bolts will have lock nuts. And this way you can tighten them down to the point where it pivots smoothly, but you don't have to crank it all the way down to prevent the nut from falling off. These are the nylon lock washers or lock nuts, so you don't have to worry about them vibrating off, but you can get them tight enough that you know that this is stable. So you'll put those on. I'm not going to crank them down because the more you use these nylocks, the more they are. After a while, they're not as effective. So I'll just put them there so that we know they go there. And then some other changes are that this particular ramp itself is getting a gas can holder. And in the event that you're installing a gas can holder on your swing arm, this hole here that you drill will serve as one of the mounting holes for the gas can holder. And then you'll just need to drill another one here for the other mount, basically. And then the only other thing I believe that's different on this is the pump sprayer holder. So I'm going to install that part of it now. And then I'll just, I'll end this video because from that point on, the original swing arm install video should take over. Alright, so on this one, we will need the part of the arm that has the latching piece, and that installs on the passenger side. And you'll take 2 1/2-inch bolts and put them in from the back side so that these don't hit the ramp when it's closed. And then obviously you set this on and you'll have some lock washers. And then the nuts, and to get this installed in a way where they're pretty straight up and down, because you can pivot this that way or this way. So just make sure it's, for the most part, straight. Now I'm not going to crank this all the way down for 2 reasons. One, because it's not really necessary in this instruction, but the other part is because this here is the blower rack, or the, I'm sorry, the pump sprayer rack, and this just kind of installs like this. So you can install it behind this angle piece here, which will bump this thing out about 1/8 of an inch, or you can install it in the front. It really doesn't make a difference. I put it behind it because it makes it easier on these lock washers here. So basically, you want to loosen this up enough to get this piece in there. And then once it's in and settled, you can tighten these back up. And again, I'm not going to crank it all the way down. I just wanted to show how that piece mounts. And then this little tab that's here is to hold the wand from your pump sprayer. Now you could, you know, if your pump sprayer has that little spot where you can hook it, you know, or you can wrap it around something, but I just figured I'd weld on a little tab here that you can kind of, let's see if I can demonstrate. Obviously this isn't the size of the wand, but the idea is that you can put the wand in there and it holds it in place straight up and down. It just makes it look a little neater. And that's why I put that there. So you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but it's there. And then while I was doing that part of it, I realized I did not ever really go over the installation of the backpack blower rack. And as a matter of fact, I think in the original swing arm install video, I talk about how I'm not going to do a backpack blower rack because it's going to be too heavy. But obviously I changed my mind on that. It installs pretty similar to the rest of the parts where the base hooks to the swing arm. You just put it on here like this, drop a couple bolts in, obviously lock washers and nuts. And then there'll be this piece here, which is the leg. It'll install like this. And these are socket-headed set screws. If you're using a metric, they're 4.5 millimeter Allen heads. If you're using standard, I think it's 3/16. And you'll just need to loosen these up enough that you can slide this over. Now, obviously, depending on the blower model that you have, your adjustments are going to vary. I use a PB500 Echo, which is a relatively low-end blower, but it still works. So for my settings, since they're already marked on this one, mine sits about here, and then you'll just set your screws. And these are deliberately put in the back like this, so that when your swing arm is closed, you can't get to the screws without some real effort. And then the second section of that leg is this piece here. And you'll do the same thing, loosen up the socket head screws, and it installs like this. Now this piece is optional. You don't have to use this piece. In my blower, and I think I've explained this in a couple of my videos, there's a void underneath of the blower itself where there's a hole. And so if I set mine right about here, it sits on in a way where this grabs the underside of that void. Now if you don't have that void, you can try to slide this out as far as you can to grab the back, and even if you have to just take this screw out and only grab it from here, or you could just take this piece completely off and the blower can just sit on this leg, because the latching portion is up here and that's what holds it anyway for the most part. But just for the sake of a full video, mine would install here. And again, you just tighten these up, crank them down, and those are where they go. And then the last part is this piece here, which is the rail that installs at the top. And again, loosen up these. And for mine, it sits about here. And this bar comes out, and it can be put here where there's a cup welded on the arm itself here. And you just sit it in there when you're not using it. I've got it zip strapped because this is getting packaged for sale, but you'll want to set this piece here where it falls in the handle hole for your blower. And then once you get that, where it's sitting on the base down there, either on this leg itself or this piece if you end up using it. And you have this section up here installed in a way where it falls in the hole of your handle. And then this bar here basically gets slid in after you put the blower on. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm obviously better at building things than I am at explaining stuff. but that's how that works. And other than that, I think everything else would be the same. The latch for the swing arm itself installs the same on this end of the dovetail. It's designed in the same way. Nothing's really changed there. And then obviously you can put another gas can holder on this side too of the dovetail, so that you can have 2 gas cans and a pump sprayer holder like I've got. And then just to reiterate, when you use this swing arm, you really just need to make sure you're using the straps which have been covered in some of my other videos, because the flex of the ramp, you know, I can't get away from it as it's currently designed. So until I can get those stake pockets right where I can use some bracing with those anchors as the foundation, you'll just need to make sure you're using the straps to prevent any kind of flex or bending. And I think that's it for this video. So hopefully it made sense. I had to close the garage because it was raining and the guy next door is pressure washing. So anybody has any other questions or any, you know, anything that I missed, give me a holler and let me know.